Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to TechPoint. Today our guest is Wilma, the CEO and co-founder at vloxq CPQ. Hello,
Hello, good to meet you. Nice to be here.
nice to have you on the podcast. Please tell us what your company does.
Yeah, we help companies with the complex pricing who are looking to decrease risk when it comes to calculated the prices and the quotes. Often a spreadsheet is employed beforehand we get implemented. So we ensure profitability during the quoting to billing process.
What's the biggest challenge that you solve for companies?
I would say it's of course different because we are in a bit of an enterprise SaaS delivery.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say in general, especially in these times economics, people are very, very keen to eliminate risk in their businesses, right? And when it comes to pricing, management team often have a good idea of how the pricing structure looks like. But when it's not super simple, it often gets a bit wild, if one could say so, especially when they have different kind of products, different kind of solutions. They discount a lot. So we take back controlling over the pricing as a strategy.
Right. And how does it work? What are the features of the platform?
So typically, when your CRM system isn't enough and you need something else to do the quotes, we are great. So what we do, we integrate to all the big CRMs out there, and then we customize for each customer's unique needs. So we look into how does the spreadsheet look like, how many currencies, how does the quoting look like, is there agreements or proposals, what do they call them? So we look into the specific situation of the customer's current needs, and then we customize it from scratch. But typically, everyone enter customer information in the CRM, we pick that up. Everyone wants to pick products or services, and of course we employ with that. And then they could have different kind of pricing depending on geography or customer type or what level you are as a sales rep, what authority you have. And we put that all together. And then in the end, it becomes a very good looking quote that makes it easier for their end customer to say yes, because it's very clear why you should choose this company's solution, not someone else. So we add the vloxq CPQ best practice to it. And then, of course, all integrate back to the CRM. And if there are customers selling, if one could say a bit sloppy, like products, then we typically fetch that article and pricing information from the ERP as well.
That's awesome. Wow. So you bring clarity. I think that's amazing. And usually,
The clarity and the margin management to ensure that everything, sticks to the pricing that the management team had set, and it
right,
really rolls out in action.
right. And what types of companies need your solutions?
Yeah, we call them reseller, but they don't call themselves as reseller. But it could be like manufacturing, scale-up SaaS, facility management, IT consultancies, and product selling companies like solar panels or some kind of machine, if you will.
Okay. And companies that offer custom pricing first, I guess.
Yeah,
Basically.
not always, but often, yes.
Okay. And how does your pricing work? Your own pricing?
Our own pricing? Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
very good question. I would wish I could give you an answer that probably somewhere in the future, but we actually do look at our data on the pricing ourselves. I recommend everyone doing that on a quarterly basis at least. So we look into what competitors, how they price, of course, the willingness to pay and what our customer are willing to pay for. But from the beginning, we have like a company license. So there is to say we make an analysis of how complex pricing do you have, how many currencies, how many quote templates, how many sales rep are you, how many integrations are you, do you have or need, and then we put a fixed price for that, and we do the same for the onboarding. So we like set the scope. So we always work with a fixed price, but it's not a per using pricing, even though of course if you would like to add 10 more users, yeah, that's a bit of an extra cost, but a very, very low one.
Okay. And are you the first solution to come up with this, let's say, product? Are you the first in the market?
About CPQ, you mean?
Yeah.
I would say we are the first in the market that about CPQ. Sorry, could I take it from the beginning?
Yes.
One more time?
Yes, of course.
So in the Nordics, we are the first one to offer mid-sized companies a CPQ solution. You have the greater one like Tacton for big enterprise manufacturing. They have been here for a long run. And there are some global players in the CPQ space, but in general, it's very few out there, and it's a quite immature market overall because no one owns the pricing unless you are a quite big company. So here we see a trend shift that more and more companies looking into, okay, how can we increase profit? And then pricing, of course, is a great tool for that.
Absolutely. How did you come up with this idea? What's the story of the company?
It's a quite funny story, actually. There was a guy talking about this idea to me, and me and my founders, co-founders, we have been working or founded actually other systems that we typically integrate to today. So like CRM, e-signing, ERP, BI tools, and similar. So I called my, at the time, mentor and pitched the idea. And he was like, that is a great idea. I thought about it myself for several years. And I seen this, not everyone has a complex pricing. You shouldn't have a complex pricing. But when needed, it quite often gets like wild very quickly and out of control. So in a year from that, he called me and said, hi, let's do something about it. And none of us had an idea that CPQ, that is, stands for configure, price, quote. We had no idea that there was a system category with that name. So that was just 4 years ago. So going from that, like price configurator, what we're going to call it, to, okay, CPQ is what it is.
Amazing. So 4 years ago. And how big is the team right now?
We're 8, so we're still a small company being bootstrapped, but we have customers in different markets, all of the Nordic region, and actually in the US and Germany as well. So that's very good. And of course, we are, I would say, actually in the Nordic, we don't typically talk so much about CPQ, but when we get partner leads from HubSpot Marketplace, then we can quite quickly see that people actually do search for CPQ. So like, hi, we need a CPQ to HubSpot. So, the maturity level is different depending on where in the world you are.
Didn't know that. Thanks for sharing. And do you plan to keep it bootstrapped? Or are you looking to raise?
For the moment, there is good and bad with being bootstrapped, but we are very, very keen on what we put our resources into. And we want to ensure we really have a great product market fit before taking that next step for scaling. And in that case, we might change our mind. But as for now, we are happy with being bootstrapped.
Awesome. What was your biggest challenge since starting a company?
Too many. That there's too many challenges. No, there is so many of them. But
some lessons learned or something that you can share with.
Some lessons learned would most definitely be how the owner structure looks like. We were 4 founders, then we became 5, and then back to 3. It has been quite a journey as an owner in vloxq. And then, of course, it's easy to say when you have all the answers on your hand, right? But I would give the advice to other becoming entrepreneurs to listen to their friends who are entrepreneurs and to set, a good cap table. So that is one angle. And then it's also very super tricky to see where exactly will you find your niche. We did our win-loss analysis and realized we were approaching way too small companies. Maybe we could have learned that some other way, but just trial and error. So there are many learnings to do, but I truly believe, talk with people. People are so friendly and so helpful. Don't keep it a secret. Don't keep your business a secret. Like, learn from others, share your experience, and it will go much, much faster.
Totally agree. Next question would be, how did you find your first customers?
We had them from the beginning. And how did we find them? It was through network. And a part of it, we have been in the ecosystem for quite some while. We had seen the problems over 20 years. So we knew a couple of them that hadn't really solved it within their CRM, because that is our vision, to be the number 1 CPQ solution in Europe when your CRM functionality for pricing isn't enough. So, we knew a couple of them. So I would say through networking.
Right. And today was the most successful go-to-market strategy for acquiring new customers?
Definitely partner. definitely partners. So we see a lot of increasing incoming, we call them partner qualified leads through marketplaces and similar. So I would say definitely that one, but we're still continuing doing outbound and, targeting dream accounts and and stuff like that.
Okay. And how do you qualify a company? What's basically how do you decide it's a right fit for your solution?
Good question. Of course, we look at the company size and the organization size. We look into what they sell, obvious, something that I told you earlier on, often a combination of product and services. They are often in different selling on a, not only always a global scale, but in different regions at least. So we can quite clear see if they are fit for us or not. And then when we call them or approach them in some way, we always ask, is a spreadsheet employed when you're making a quote? If the answer is yes, then we know it's like a great fit.
Right. And what should companies know before looking for a CPQ software?
That's a very good question. I would say when looking for a CPQ tool, it's important to that you have prioritized your bigger changes internally. That you have clear owners, we're going to do this and this and that. And if CPQ is one of them, then it's always a no-brainer that you're going to do it. It's just more to allocate the right team and to ensure that your CPQ partner really can come with those best practice, not only take your spreadsheet as it was yesterday and build it into the future, because no one, the pricing changes all the time. To take a CPQ partner that can really, really help you evolve your pricing strategy. And then, of course, make sure that the integrations is very swiftly to the other system that you already have employed. So we can just plug it into whatever ecosystem or CRM or ERP you're using as of today.
Thank you for sharing. How about the vision for the future? What's next? What are your plans?
What's next? Well, it's a daily hassle. So what we are trying to accomplish now is the next generation of our products. We focus a lot on that because we know much, much more than we did, of course, for 3-4 years ago, what the customer needs. So that is our main target for this year, to move all our existing clients to the new platform, to establish the partner channels even further. Now we are very, very closely working to HubSpot. So we're going to establish and dig deeper into that partnership too. And then, of course, the next step is to be not only founder-made sales, but also being able to hire people that could work within our growth team and, make sure of a true scaling environment.
Right. Good. Happy to hear that. I'd love to know how you started your career. Basically, what's your story and your
that's
expertise?
A funny one. I used to be, or I'm still, a horse girl, traveling around on show jumping competitions.
Wow.
Then I had a back injury, so I had to make an operation on my back, and then led me to becoming a personal trainer instead. So I was there for several years, and then I decided somewhat I have to do something else, And then a friend of mine, he told me, Wilma, you are so stubborn. I think you should work with sales. And I don't think that was something good, but I choose to see it to something good. So I start working within sales, and then SaaS was very, very new up here in Sweden. Of course, SaaS had been around, but we didn't talk about it as SaaS. So since then, I've been more or less brought up within SaaS, having different kind of sales roles. And then I was the partnership manager at GetAccept before founding vloxq with my co-founders. So that is in short.
That's amazing. I didn't know about your role at GetAccept. Great to hear.
Great company.
Yeah, I know. Awesome. What would be your best piece of advice for somebody just starting out in sales, let's say in their 20s, and somebody just starting out being a founder?
Okay. So first, working within sales, depending on who you are as a person, if you are more like a free soul, if you will, then you can start on a smaller company and just trying to copy and learn from the good ones. If you prefer a bit of a structure, bigger teams, then I would definitely recommend someone working on a bigger company to begin with, to get those structured ideas, how to work in the best practices. And then it's easier to choose when you are a bit more senior within sales. When it comes to founding your own company, well, the cap table is more or less everything, because then it will steer the possibilities of being like bootstrapped or VC backed, whatever way you want to go. So I would choose your co-founders utterly wisely, because it's more important than one you get married with, because you do get married with your partners, and you also get married to their, private partners as well. And to make that happen, you have to have a partner yourself on the romantic side that really supports this, because otherwise it's very, very tricky. So it's like, listen to your friends, listen to the other ones being entrepreneurs, and then decide upon what's good for you. Should you found it yourself, or should you have one or two, or the maximum 3 co-founders, and ensure that those people are, where you are in life? Because it's tricky. If one is 20, one is 30, and 2 is 40, and having like 100 kids, it's going to be tricky. So it's like easier just being the same mind shift, and then you can add mentors or whatever you need from the outside world.
Great advice. I love it. You said it really well.
Pity.
Do you have a favorite software that you use apart from your own?
Yeah, of course I have. Which is, I would really say that I love GetAccept. I really, really do, because it gives me so much intel. We have quite long sales processes and trying to engage people, and it's quite complex to describe what we're doing. And so I can just put everything together in one piece, send it over to the decision makers or the ambassador and the champion or whatever you want to call them. Mm-hmm. They can put play on a movie to show it to their colleagues, and I will just gain intel. Okay, who's interested, who is not, who do they pass forward to? So I really like being proactive, and by having those signals from the customer behavior, that helps a lot, I believe.
Yeah, I love their solution. They're amazing. Those are my main questions for the podcast. I'm curious to know if you have anything else to add.
Oh, probably a lot, I hope. But it was great to have you to be in this podcast. I really like what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to meeting you during the summer.
Yeah, thank you so much, Wilma. You did fantastic, and I'm grateful. You provided great value.
Beautiful. Thank you for having me. Take care.